Gym, Inception Gym, the world's first mental health gym. And he's here today to talk about how he got into that, what Inception Gym is, and whatever else he wants to talk about right here on Live in the DTV. How you doing today, Mr. Mccullar?
Good. How you doing?
Good, good. So tell us, what is Inception Gym?
Well, it's the first mental health gym. Just
Mhm.
like you said, Inception is a place where, if you think about how people go to the physical gym, that we go to the gym, we go to work out, to build our muscles, to increase our endurance. Well, when it comes down to the mental health gym, we go to de-stress and to
Mhm.
go into states of relaxation. Because if you look at 70 to 90% of doctors' visits are due to stress-related illnesses, right? So
Right.
that's the population that we're dealing with, and actually, 42% of the population will be end up diagnosed with some type of anxiety disorder. So when you think about what we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, we need to have ways to be able to regulate our nervous systems and come out of the stress response, trauma response. And so that's what Inception does. It's a gym to help you to de-stress in ways that you've never done before using 21st century alternative healing modalities.
21st century alternative healing modalities. What does that
hmm
mean? What, in terms of what are some of the tools that we're using?
Well, we have a wide range of services. We have about six different services. And so each service, technology is grouped into threes, which is based on specific circuits that we do. So a couple of those, let's just name some of them. One is brain training, which is a neurofeedback that has a 30-year history. And so neurofeedback is a technology that's going to allow your brain to become self-aware, because when your brain can become self-aware, the brain can actually begin to change itself. It can move out of these states of stress and trauma. Then we have a magnetic therapy, what's called magnosphere, some molecular resonance therapy, which was created by Dr. Jerry Jacobson. And what that technology does is it resonates with a very low level specific frequency that's much lower than the frequencies of the earth. And so they actually resonate with the cells, tissues, ligaments of the body, and it helps to move the vagus nerve out of what we are currently stuck in, which is the stress response, which is sympathetic. Move out of sympathetic to move into more social engagement. So those two technologies, they are they're non-invasive. You don't have to participate. They're really done for you. And then we have our flotation therapy, which is a sensory reduced environments, because our population, we're overly stimulated.
Mhm.
So in an overstimulated population, we have so much going on in terms of what we looking on social media, the type of constant level of content, the constant level of stress that we're dealing with. So when you get into a zero gravity environment, it's a 9x5 tank that
Mhm.
has a foot of water, and in that foot of water, there's 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt, and so that Epsom salt is dissolved into the water, and so it makes you become buoyant. So when you get into the float tank, you begin to float effortlessly. It takes all the pressure off your joints, your limbs. And because you're not dealing with gravity, you're not dealing with light, you're not dealing with sound, the brain will naturally begin to come out of the stress response and use its resources to start to repair the body, because you reduce stimulus. So that's what's called our inner reset circuit that we do. And everybody typically starts off with that circuit. So that's one of the group of series of technologies that we have. And then we have what's called our inner flow detox circuit. And within that circuit, that circuit is designed to help the brain and the body go into, just like it sounds, detoxification from our lymphatic system to our cardiovascular system. We use infrared therapy, far infrared sauna, which is really good, penetrates deep into the cells and tissues of the body to help to remove things like moles, mercuries, and any other toxins out of the body. We use a lymphatic therapy. Lymphatic therapy is going to support the lymphatic system. We all have a lymphatic system, and the lymphatic system is our major detoxifying system in our body to remove waste. But because we are, overburdened through toxicity, our lymphatic system is overworked. So what this
Hmm.
technology does is it gently massages the lymphatic channels and to assist the lymph system in the detoxification process. Then we have a what's called the halotherapy salt booth, and that's another form of detoxification using pharmaceutical grade salt, which is crushed into a aerosol type of spray mist that blows into a chamber, and you breathe in. And what that does is starts to detoxify the nasal pathways, removing things like phlegm and mucus. So we have both of those different circuits that are used, again, one for to reset nervous system, the other to help to support the detoxification process. And again, if you look at our mental emotional standpoint, one of our biggest issues that we deal with in terms of mental health is in the body.
Hmm.
Most everybody else is thinking about it from a psychological standpoint, which is a piece. Well, this is the missing piece.
Right. And you talked about the lymphatic system, the digestive system, the nasal pathways, and how you're using magnetic therapy and flow therapy and a number of different things, a number of different um, things to reset that. So it sounds like, and I grew up around technology, computers, and my dad's in IT.
Mm,
So it sounds like essentially comparing it to like a computer or a phone, where it's
hmm
hard resetting our mind and body.
that is a thought process. I mean, my background is in information technology as well. So if you think about you have a browser open, you have 20 tabs open. Well, if you hit Control Alt Delete and go to your task manager, you're going to see your system resources are all being used on what, processing how many tabs you have open to other processes as well. Specifically, now think about if you had something like Norton antivirus or some other software running in the background, and I say that it was under attack. Well, if
Mhm.
that system is under attack, it's going to use a lot of its resources just to fight the threat. So what's happening is our brain and body as a human organism, what stress is us fighting internally against perceived threats or real life danger. So when
Right.
you think about the computer, yeah, you got to start to one, you got to close out some tabs on the browser, and then, you know, um, help Norton or whatever antivirus software you got. Hopefully that can remove whatever physical virus that may be present. But most of
Right.
us, we're not just dealing with physical viruses. We're literally dealing with perceived danger,
Hmm.
right? That's you can get on Instagram and scroll and see one of us getting shot by the police or something. Your brain is going to respond in the same way.
Right. And
So that's
it's not always perceived that we are responding to it, because we kind of become so kind of numb because we see so many of these things so often now that it's kind of normalized, but that's not a normal thing our brain should be seeing, right?
right. Well, we don't consciously normalize it. What happens is we go into it's three different brain patterns that we go into for survival mode. You have fight, you have flight, you have freeze. And so in fight, flight, freeze response, fight, flight is going to mobilize you to get out of danger, to run, right? So
Hmm.
freeze response is immobilization. It's shutting down, preparing you for death, disassociation, so that you can either survive that event and not really feel it, or just prepares you that you don't feel it. So when you think about us and what we see, we always say like, oh, we normalized it. No, it became normal to the brain, but the brain learned its own survival strategies to deal with it. And so
Right.
freeze is a survival strategy and fight or flight is a survival strategy. So when you, again, let's think about that in terms of our human organism. You think about it as a computer, you're using your resources. So when you think about having, the one of the other states that we're in is social engagement. Social
Right.
engagement to have meaningful, in-depth conversations or connections, right? Well, when you're in fight or flight freeze response, or what they call as sympathetic or dorsal, which has the dorsal ventral, which has to do with, again, freeze. If you're in these states of protection and survival, well, if you go to school and you can't focus and concentrate, is it because you have ADHD, or because you're stuck in a survival response and you don't have your resources to fight threat and answer math problems? So
Right.
if you think about us as African Americans, most of us are in environments or have been in environments that has our brain on survival mode. So of course you're not going to go to school and use your resources properly, because your resources are used to fight threat And now you don't have access to memory, focus and concentration, your mood, and so on and so on.
And that goes back to that same computer analogy. You're trying, like, you got those 20 browsers open, plus you got a virus. Your computer is so working so hard. Your brain is so hard, working so hard, trying to fight the virus, trying to fight all the other trauma and things we deal with in life, and you just want to go on and check your email, and you're wondering, why is my
You
email
wonder
loading
why it's
so
going
slow?
so
And the
slow,
first thing you
right?
do, instead of looking at that computer, sometimes, let me go check the Wi-Fi. But
Right.
we need to get back to the root of the problem. Well, it's the brain. It's, you got to deal with that reset, that closing some of those other browsers.
Most people, I mean, you've been in the computer field. Most people don't know about Task Manager and going in and seeing how your resources are actually running. So
Right.
most people, when we even talk about talk therapy, what is talk therapy? Talk therapy is an access into your Task Manager. What resources, what happened in your life? And then we talk about programming as well. We can't just talk about trauma. We got to talk about the programming. We were programmed incorrectly from, if you look at, some of the things that we grew up with, some of the thought processes and belief systems that we've adopted that aren't resourceful at all. So you have to use tools that give you a sense of awareness. And that awareness gives you the ability to change it. And when you have the ability to change, you self-correct and you break from patterns or what people call generational curses. Well, that's all it is. You can't break a curse if you're not aware of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, with this mental health gym, we're talking about resetting the body, closing those tabs, opening your task manager, and then knowing getting to the root of the issue. And we say that, like, a lot of people look at it psychologically. Let's say someone has like an eating disorder and they think, oh, I just need to lose weight, so I just need to go in the gym and start working out. But then they're still not losing that weight because they got all that stress and other emotional things that they're dealing with. So now that mental health aspect will help with it. Now, do they still need that physical aspect of it?
The issues are in the tissues of the body. So you need comprehension, comprehensive program. You need all of it. You have to address the program, and you gotta address the emotions that are trapped inside the body. All these symptoms, we think about it as disorders. They're not disorders, they're just responses. They're survival mechanisms that your brain and body have done to help you to survive, even though it may look, for us, it may not look, how we would want it to look, but that's all that is. Obesity is nothing but a survival response. High blood pressure is nothing but a survival response. Heart attacks, strokes, that's all from being stuck in fight or flight, sympathetic on overdrive. So when we talk about one thing that's I've been saying recently is you never die from anything other in life other than stress. That's the only thing that ever will kill you is stress. Whether you fell out of a plane and hit the ground, what did you die from? You died from the impact. Well, what did the impact do? It stressed out your system where it cannot adapt and heal. So think about COVID, right? How many people are dying from COVID? People
Over
aren't necessarily
500,000 now.
dying, but they're not dying from COVID. They're dying from their systems being overwhelmed. The COVID was just another thing on top of the system that the body could not repair from. So most people are dying from having pre-existing conditions. Why? Because the pre-existing condition is nothing but a stress to the system. The immune system is the only thing that ever heals you. So if your immune system is compromised because you're in stress mode, think when you go into fight, your brain is going to signal to the body to pump adrenaline, cortisol is going to shut down the immune system because we don't need to have that on right now. We need to get out of Dodge. We need to escape threat. We don't need to use problem solving. So shut down the neocortex. We don't need to do that. We need to survive, right? So when you're stuck in chronic stress, or if you've had traumas, which most of us have had, all of it, right? And then you add a virus onto that, well, the system doesn't even have its resources to fight that. So that's where, we don't die from anything but stress. So that's why we really need to focus on de-stressing, again, reprogramming, and making better lifestyle changes and choices. And those are the generational curses that, again, everybody keeps speaking of. That's what you're breaking. You're breaking bad habits.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with that flow therapy, that magnetic therapy, and the other therapies that you offer, or the other um, machines that you would have in your gym, do you get into do you get into like personally what a person is dealing with, or do you just kind of just reset it all and they begin to heal with these practices that we're now
So
doing?
think about it in terms of when you come in, the services is supporting the systems of the body. So the
Mhm.
systems of the body starts to see again how it's functioning and start to operate differently. So whatever your emotions you're holding on to, those things start to arise. Right.
Right.
You don't have to talk to us about those things arising, but they will arise. At that point, you may need to process and then you may need help integrating. And that's why I highly recommend people work with either a therapist, a coach, a friend, a counselor, to help to process what begins to come up for you, because it's really we're a emotional thermodynamic machine where energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. So these emotions that's trapped in the body, when the body starts to move out of these states of stress and go into a state of relaxation, it starts to release. So if you have a closed fist, what are you holding on to? Whatever you're holding on to, if you start to open, whatever is in there is going to be released, right? So
Right.
whatever I have, if I have a golf ball in my hand and it's closed like this, when I open it, what's going to fall out? A golf
The golf
ball.
ball. Hmm.
So whatever emotion you've been holding on to, which we've all been holding on to a lot of emotions, and it's stored within the muscle. So you don't, it's not that you have to come in and talk to us about what you're holding on to. Whatever you're holding on to, you're going to start to release. Does that make
Absolutely.
sense?
Absolutely, it does. And I have to ask, so with that, I'm sure with your clients have come in, and has anyone ever broken down or just like really started to flow tears or screaming? Like, what kind of responses do we
Oh,
get
absolutely.
here? Can we expect?
Yeah. Well, it's different for everybody. It's
Right.
really, you can't. So a lot of people, like for instance, Charlemagne comes in. Charlemagne from Breakfast Club. He comes in. He does brain training with us, and he says, "Well, I never cried." Well, he never experienced that at that point. That doesn't mean that he would never experience that. But let's say I went to Dallas and I trained about 10 people just using one service, which are brain training. Out of 20 people I trained, 10 of them cried.
Mm,
So again, the process is different from everybody, and is layers of it. So and you have to begin to release those things to get to the other side of it, which is a state of more relaxation. And again, now you've become aware of your emotions. We live in a society where we don't even understand that we have emotions.
yeah.
So we've basically numbed those out, again, not consciously, instinctually. So we're just coming to the fact that you're going
Mm,
to feel like anxiety, depression. Those aren't bad things. Those are, you're going to experience anxiety
mhm.
in life. You're going to experience sadness in life. You're going to experience grief in life. You have to be able to feel those things just like you feel happiness, joy, right?
Yes.
But we've been using capitalism and consumerism to try to experience the higher levels of things like happiness, and that's why we go buy things, right?
Hmm.
I want to make myself feel better by purchasing something. We may consciously be doing that, but that's really what we're doing, instead of doing the internal work that allows you to free up this system, experience the negative emotions that you need to experience, and then move back up to a flow of better sense of joy and
Hmm.
peace.
Right. So allow yourself to actually feel. And I think I can speak, especially as Black men, we're taught
Mm,
shut it all down.
mm,
Don't smile too much, don't laugh too much, don't you
right.
cry. Just deal with it, deal with it, deal with it, deal with it. But we
Yeah.
need to start allowing ourselves to dealing with it is letting it out, speaking it, or feeling
Hmm.
it and going through those emotions. And of course, you're not going to feel happy and energetic all the time, but you need to
Right.
allow whatever you're going through to happen, and so you can deal with it and then get, like you said, with the body shutting, with the body being in danger, deal with the situation at hand, whatever it may be, even if
Hmm.
it's good.
Well, see,
Absolutely.
animals in the wild, when they experience trauma, they go and they shake. They shake all over. They dissipate the energy that was used to escape the threat.
All right.
They don't have post traumatic stress.
Hmm.
Non-domesticated animals don't have post traumatic stress because they have the mechanics in them to shake, and we do as well. But we've blocked these mechanisms to help us to regulate our nervous systems after threat. So all we're doing in society is after threat and stress, we regulate our systems by doing what? Hey man, I need to go to the bar. I need to get a drink. It's been a rough week. All you're trying to do is regulate. Oh, let me smoke this. All you're trying to do is regulate. Let me go buy, buy this or buy that. All you're trying to do is regulate. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to come back to a state of regulation. We're trying to co-regulate, and we don't know how to do that. We've lost that ability because, like you said, think about it. If we took a picture right now, if 5 black men took a picture right now, how many of us would smile? Because it's been programmed, ingrained in us that you gotta mean mug, you gotta hard, you gotta do the hard look, right?
Right. Yep.
So me, I like to smile in my pictures to let you know, like, hey, I'm happy, right? And that's how I feel. But again, that goes back down to even the walk. I grew up in Detroit. You got to walk hard. You got to talk hard. Like, what is that? What is hard? Hard is basically dysregulated. That's what that is. You're not a human being at that point. You're the walking dead. You're not feeling. So when you think about it, if you go and shoot somebody, you think, oh, I'm hard. No, you're weak. Because holding on to your emotion weakens you versus expressing it. And so then you get to the point where you've held on for so long that the system can't contain the lid, and you gas off, and now you want to hurt somebody because it boiled over.
Right.
It spilled over and it hurt somebody. So when we talk about expressing emotions, we don't mean you have to express an emotion at a person to harm a person, but you can experience anger without directing it, right? You can experience sadness, depression without directing it. Feeling it doesn't mean that you put it on to other people. My mom's a social worker. She's worked in the schools for years, and she's had things like a bat that they would just go and hit a bat towards a trash can, because that energy it has to dissipate, right? So these are all the things that we have to relearn. And some of us, we haven't learned it at all. So we have to learn how to regulate ourselves, and we have to start to plant better programming and behaviors to move forward.
Absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. Now, my next question, with everything we're relearning, basically resetting our mind, resetting our body. Does a physical gym still play into that, or with that, we will not need that as much? We'll not need that physical going to the gym working out, because mentally we're a lot healthier.
I think right now we're at a stage, and it's interesting how we go from, probably about 10, 15 years ago, a little longer, maybe. It's like the obesity epidemic became a thing. Gyms were just starting to become popular around, I'm 41 years old. So gyms started becoming popular around 1999. I remember Fitness USA. Fitness USA was one of the first gyms I ever went to. Gyms were just starting to pop up. That was a rich person thing. You didn't go to a gym, right? Everybody got this thing. Everything became real big. I remember the Cash Money Boys. Everything real big, cars real big, right? That was a thing. We had 22-inch rims, 24-inch rims. We had fast food,
spinners, yep.
Super Size Me. We had big old trucks. Everything was big. Big houses, big people, right? And then we swing. We go to these extremes. So we come out of that, and then we go to everything in the gym. So now you go and you look on social media, and you see a big thing of everybody's working out, and they work out. But they don't understand that when you're stuck in stress mode, which majority of the population is, working out is still a form of stress. So when people say, I'm relieving stress by working out, no, you have a false sense of exhaustion. You're exhausting yourself to be able to even rest, right? And you're using that as a way to what you want to call de-stress, but the nervous system is not regulated. You spike the nervous system more into sympathetic when you were already in sympathetic dominance. Your blood pressure was already high. So what you'll find is that the gym is still important, but we'll have more balance in how to use it.
Absolutely.
Versus, overly doing what we're doing, thinking that's the only go and you work out and you do CrossFit 3-4 times a day, which I've worked with a lot of people in the CrossFit industry. They don't sleep at night. I work with women. They lost their periods. Why? Because the adrenals and cortisol is amped up, right? So we have to find balance with that. So to answer your question, yes, the gym will still be important, but it won't be as what a lot of people are doing with extremism, because they're using it as a way to cope, but they don't know that that's not an effective coping mechanism.
Absolutely. And that makes perfect sense, honestly, because I can think of times where I was stressed and I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to the gym, hit the weights, get on the treadmill, and just run, or lift weights till I'm exhausted. And then you go home exhausted, but then you still wake up feeling kind of like crap. You still wake up feeling the same because you just,
because your nervous system didn't deactivate.
Feeling. Exactly. Wow, that's deep.
Right. you just put more, you threw more gas onto the fire versus actually regulate and rest. So I wear a wearable technology to track my sleep. You know, I can see how my workouts have influenced me. So now it's all about data now. The data allows us to have this sense of awareness. So if I work out and I look, wow, I didn't even get into that much REM sleep this night, and then my sleep score is not good, and it's telling me, hey, you should maybe go light today in the gym. Well, that gave me the awareness to save myself and save my body and not overtax myself and think no days off, work, you know, this type of no pain, no gain, push through it. Right. So we're learning this in basketball. I love basketball. NBA players, they used to, you know, every game. Now they're starting to do things like load management. You know, they're using a lot of tools that we use. Steph Curry uses flotation therapy, you know, things of that nature. So we're starting to understand that if we want longevity, not just in sports, but in life, we have to have the awareness of what's going on to us from the environment. What are we doing to ourselves, and how do we recover? It'll take months to build a building. They can demo a building in literally minutes. So when you think about yourself, everything you do on a day-to-day basis can be a form of stress to tear down. How is your body recovering from all of that is the question.
Right. And I don't want to rush you off, but I know you got other things to do, and we don't want to take up too much of your time. But you brought up two things: the building, but before that, you brought up sleep and your REM cycles. How does sleep, and because we live in a society that, like you said, work. I'll sleep later. I'll sleep when I'm dead is a popular
I sleep
saying.
when I die.
I sleep when I die. Right. It's like, but you're killing yourself quicker. But you know, a lot of people not ready to hear that, or say they're not ready to hear that.
Well, it's ignorance. And then I don't mean it's ignorance, and I don't mean that in an offensive way. You know how in our culture it's like, you ignorant. That's not what I mean. It's just ignorance. We don't know. We don't we're not observing what we're doing. The high end sports are understanding this now to measure their guys' performance, not to overwork them and overtax them. It's consistency versus intensity, right? You can't go intense all day. Like if a sprinter, you know, you should see how much they sprint in a week. They're not sprinting all out all the time. You know, you will burn through your heart. It's the same way if you were excited all day, every day, you have a heart attack. So when you think about sleep is the way that we recover. And I'm glad you asked that, because that's my definition of success. I don't care how much money you have. If you can't sleep at night, you can't even do the bare minimum of what it takes for your body to recover. Are you really successful? Because this body we live in is the only vessel, it's the only thing that you will ever own in this life, and that's a lease. And you can't sleep. And when you can't sleep, it's because there's a lack of safety within you, because that's all stress is. It's a lack of safety. So in your home, even if you got 10,000 square feet home with a king size bed, but at night, it takes you more than 10 minutes to fall asleep, you wake up multiple times in the night and you don't wake rested, then what is all that home and what is all that money? What is and I'm not downplaying finances. It's good to be financially responsible and to have wealth, but the real wealth is in the body being able to repair itself and duplicate and replicate, right? So sleep and REM, going into REM, rapid eye movement, is when you go into the dream state. and your body actually starts to process, your mind starts to process everything that happened in the day. So deep sleep and REM sleep are very important. It's not just about how long you slept. And a lot of people are stuck on that. Well, I slept 10 hours. Yeah, but at 10 of those hours, eight and a half of it was light sleep. You didn't even get into the restorative sleep cycles.
Wow, and it's so fascinating. And as you keep talking, I keep having more questions, but again, I don't want to take up too much of your time. How can we come find out more information, make an appointment? How can we get started if someone wants to get started today?
Well, website is inceptionep.com, inceptionechopaul.com. I am on Instagram at Mr. David Mccullar, and Inception's page is at I_am_inception. On my page at Mr. David Mccullar, I do a lot of talks just like we're talking right now. I put a lot of clips of, try to help educate us on what's happening for us, how Inception works, and just give people more awareness and understanding.
And I have to ask this. We're still in COVID, and hopefully the numbers are going down. The vaccine is out there, but we're still dealing with this thing. So how does Inception Gym, because a lot of other, like you said, the physical gyms are still closed. How does Inception Gym stay sterilized, stay sanitized, and keep people safe as far as from physical health?
Well, the good thing is Inception was already kind of built with COVID in mind before COVID even happened, because every location you go into in the facility is your own space. So after every use of that space, your own private space is sterilized and cleaned, and all of our staff have masks on. So everything is already social distanced and built into it.
Awesome. That's amazing. And I'm glad it was, you said you guys took it into consideration even before COVID was a thing. If someone wanted, are there more locations, or is it just in Michigan?
Just in Farmington Hills currently. We had a pop-up location we had out in LA, and we closed that down during COVID, but we're in the midst of doing franchising, and around 2022 we'll start having more locations around the nation.
Okay. If someone wanted to help you out with that, be an investor, come in and get a Inception Gym in their neighborhood, in their city, could they discuss that with you? Are you open to that?
Yep. They can reach me on Instagram. They can inbox me, and we can go from there.
All right. Well, we will likely be talking with you about that in the near future, sir. I wish you much success. Thank you so much for this gym that you've done. Thank you for giving us our piece. Again, I probably could talk to you for another hour about the technology kind of relation to it, because that just fascinates me, and the mental health side of it, because I'm a believer in that. My friends tell me, well, you rest too, because I have a illness, you rest too much, and you shouldn't be sleeping so much. I said, no. When I feel like I'm done. I'm not trying to overwork my body. When you have to. I'm not trying to overwork my body. I'm not trying to do more than I can. If it's time for me to go to sleep, I'm going to sleep. If it's time for me to sit down, I'm sitting down. And I think that is a message that not enough people believe in. So I'm glad you said it, and you seem to be the expert on this. And thank you for just building this. And if there's anything else you want to share with us, feel free.
Well, that's what you said is very important, and even though you said I'm the expert, what I like to feel like, I'm the expert of me. I spent 14 years working through anxiety, depression, insomnia, to overcome my own issues. So Inception is birthed out of my own pain and my own experience. So everything that I say is through my own experience. It's not from reading it through a book, even though I read books and had mentors and things of that nature. But this is through my own experience, and I like to help other people, move through that as well. A lot of things people have come in, to Inception believing that that was it, they couldn't get rid of, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, if you support your systems of your body, you'd be surprised how your body can actually heal itself. Go figure, right? Our bodies are regenerating machines. So to think that we can't heal is just another form of poor programming that has been placed upon us.
Absolutely. And I agree wholeheartedly. And on that note, we will let you go. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find Mr. David Mccullar on Instagram at David Mccullar, and at Mr. David Mccullar, and on his gym page, I_am_inception. And of course, the website, www.inceptionep.com. Book an appointment. Let's get our mental and physical health back in line, and stay safe out there. Thank you so much
All right, thanks a
tuning in
lot,
with us.
Jabril.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Take care.